Thank you very much, everybody.
The next song we like to do is a song called I Feel Fine.
That feedback. You know, no other band in the world could have made what is usually an unwanted sound become one of the most remarkable and memorable introductions to a song than the Beatles. And of course, like with so many other inventive and hilarious things about this band, it all starts with the one and only John Lennon. That's me completely, including the electric guitar lick and the record with the first feedback anywhere. I defy anybody to find a record unless it's some old blues record in 1922 that uses feedback that way. I mean, everybody played with feedback on stage, and the Jimi Hendrix stuff was going on long before. In fact, the punk stuff now is only what people were doing in the clubs. So I claim it for the Beatles. Before Hendrix, before The Who, before anybody. The first feedback on record. That's so awesome. And he actually surprised the rest of the Beatles with his playful yet still inventive twist on what up until then was presumed to be a sound that was unusable in a recording.
And John leaned his against
The amplifier, yeah.
And then we were just going to go on and talk about the song, and suddenly the A string started feeding back at we were just, what? Can you do that? You know, so George, well, yes, I could edit it on the front or something.
And you know, I just have to say, because it's such an important fact, aside from being incredible musicians, remember, they were just kids playing around, making music. Here, John Lennon comes up with this crazy idea, and George Martin can't get enough credit for letting them experiment even to this extent. I feel like under his genius and care, George Martin was really so integral to the group's growth, and they were fortunate to have him.
John had mucked around with feedback for a while, and yes, it was intentional. He found it quite difficult to get the right amount of feedback, you know. And I think it was the first time, was it not, that feedback was used on a record? He loved things like that. He loved weird kind of effects. And it was his idea. It was great.
And funny enough, the deliberate use of feedback violated Parlophone's recording policies. So the Beatles just lied and said it was a mistake, which is such a Beatles thing to do. But I do wonder if we could replicate that sound. Let's see. Okay, you guys ready to try this? Sorry, little buddy. Awesome. This song, although from the early days, before more experimental songs like Strawberry Fields, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, and so on, it really does show that they were musical explorers from the beginning. They were ready to take small risks and eventually took huge ones. That is why people love the Beatles.
I'm so glad that she's my little